I find it fascinating that some Christians think they have a monopoly on morality. That is, they claim to have an absolute standard of morality against which anything can be judged as objectively right or wrong, and they derive this moral standard from the alleged will of God as depicted in the Bible. They believe this is the only true morality to the exclusion of all others. Of course, there is no reason why this would be true. There are plenty of religions that also believe they have the only correct moral code, and yet none of them have any more evidence for this than the others. No religion has ever been able to conclusively demonstrate why its morals are the right answer. But even if we did accept that biblical morality is the right answer, that still doesn't make it absolute or objective at all. In fact, God's morality is quite obviously relative. If we define what is or isn't moral by what God commands, then what is or isn't moral can change at God's discretion. What's moral today could become immoral tomorrow if God says so. There's nothing absolute about this moral code. It's entirely fluid. Of course, for those of us who understand that the Bible is not an accurate guide to reality, this is only a hypothetical issue. But for those who believe the Bible is the inerrant Word of God, this is a genuine problem, because God has altered the moral standard repeatedly. He commands us not to kill, yet there are plenty of verses where he tells us exactly why and how we should kill people. He even assisted us in killing each other on several occasions, and sometimes he steps in and handles all the killing by himself. The same God who tells us "thou shalt not kill" has sanctioned the slaughter of children, infants, and even every living thing on earth. Why is it that God thought it was okay to kill everything in the flood because it was all evil beyond any hope of redemption, and yet after the flood he promised he would never again invoke a global holocaust, even though everything was still completely evil? Now, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 24, verse 16 says, "Fathers shall not be put to death for their children, nor children put to death for their fathers. Each is to die for his own sin." And yet this is exactly what happened to all of humanity after the fall of man. Every person has been cursed with original sin, just because Adam and Eve chose to disobey God. And God did tell them they would die if they ate the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but when they did, they survived. The book of Numbers, chapter 23, verse 19 says, "God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should change his mind. Does he speak and then not act? Does he promise and not fulfill?" Apparently he does. And why is it that the crafty serpent is the only one who was willing to tell the truth about the tree? It's plain to see that God has no qualms about changing his mind, and when he does, the structure of morality also changes. If Christians believe their morality is guided by the will of God, then they must realize that their religion provides no objective basis for judging anything as absolutely right or wrong.